views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, welcome to our special Vote 2017 edition of In the District. Now coming up, we've got candidates from City Council District 14. That includes the neighborhoods of Morris Heights, University Heights, Fordham, and Kingsbridge. Now the incumbent for this race is Councilmember Fernando Cabrera. And also on the ballot are Randy Abreu and Felix Perdomo. We've invited all the candidates on the ballot for the Democratic Party to participate in this program. I'm Darren Jaime, introducing you to the candidates running for City Council District 14 on In the District. And welcome back. Joining us now is the candidate for the 14th District. We welcome now Randy Abreu, and welcome. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Good. Exciting time for you?
I mean, it's always an exciting time. 5 weeks to go until the election. It's picking up, and I'm flying high right now.
So when you look at the 14th District and you've got a vision, of course, for the district, what do you see as the primary objective for you handling for what needs to be done?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we need to solve this housing crisis that we have going on. There's too many people in our community that don't know if they're really going to stay in their apartment tonight, tomorrow, next month. There's actual insecurity in our community, and we, moving forward, have a big rezoning project on Jerome Avenue, and a lot of people in the community are concerned because they're not sure if they'll be able to afford an apartment in these new buildings, and they're not sure if the landlord that they currently have right now is going to uphold their rights so that they can live in habitable places.
So when you say housing is a main priority, obviously a lot of people are worried about development, redevelopment. It seems like the development that comes in is not suitable for residents who currently live. Questions about gentrification. How do we deal with this?
I think we really need to take a focus and shift and pivot as public servants, as elected officials, and look towards the public interest. To me, this means resisting gentrification by looking at inclusive development. Yeah, sure, we can invest in our community, but that investment must look towards us first, must look towards the bottom first. How do we from the Bronx share in the wealth? How do we from the Bronx who help stabilize this community from the days when I remember hearing gunshots often, now not that often, but still sometimes. How do we share in growing and shaping the vision of the future of the Bronx? That's what's most important. That's the only way to resist the gentrification that's already on its way.
Talked about housing. Let's move a little bit to health. And you know, the Bronx definitely has its set of health issues. Yeah. We've got asthma. We've got obesity. How do we deal? And what are you thinking about the health issues in your district?
That's it's two-pronged process over here. It's first education, education, education. I understand. I'm from this community. I know what it's like for a lot of parents, a lot of single parents, to work 2 jobs, get home late, not have the time and the resources to make sure they and their children have the healthy food options that they need, affordable, healthy food options that they need, and are able to go to the doctor regularly to get that preventative care checkup. But then we really need to take a critical look. How do we move forward in the next decade? We have the tools and the resources at our fingertips when it comes to clean energy and renewable technologies. Let's take a critical look at our city school buses, which have diesel engines. Let's retrofit those engines to clean energy engines, making sure that local Bronx talent is a part of the installation and manufacturing process, so we even create jobs while reducing air pollution, while we reduce asthma.
When you look at your candidacy, obviously you've got some other candidates in the field, and talk to us about why people should vote for Randy Abreu.
I think tomorrow can't wait. That's been our slogan ever since this campaign started, and it's true as far as we'll keep going. There's the incumbent in the race has had 8 years to move our community forward. Our earnings have actually gone down since the height of the Great Recession. Think about that. In 2010, we were making about $33,000 a year. Today, we're making about $30,000 a year. There is no greater example of the discrepancy of the 1% and the 99% than right here in District 14 in the Bronx. People have to vote for change. I am that candidate right now because by my count, there are about 4 or 5 years until this development and gentrification gets the better of us and displaces the one community we've always known.
So when you talk about your political experience, obviously never held public office, but You've worked with the former President Obama and in his administration. Share.
Yeah, man, my boy. I personally miss the man in office. Currently seeing the president we have now, it's like night and day, literally. And I learned how to politic in Washington, D.C. Let's face it, I didn't come through the Bronx machine system. I didn't come through New York City politics. I am an attorney by education. I'm a born and raised Bronxite, lived on Fordham Road and Sedgwick Avenue my whole life. And working for President Obama was the highlight of my career so far. I learned from him firsthand how important it is to engage your community, how proud young people make him, and how energetic we make each other when we're vibing off each other off these really good ideas that we know when we coalesce as a community from the local level all the way to the presidential level, we really could bring that change that he was talking about in 2008. I mean, I know we didn't get there 100%, but we're on our way.
So when did you decide you're going to launch the run?
I had been looking at this seat and at my current council member since 2014, actually. I was interning at Attorney General Schneiderman's office as part of an investigation for a potential lawsuit where we were looking at nonprofits in New York that were supporting hate laws in Africa. This research and investigation led me to a video of the current councilman in Uganda where he's praising a law in Uganda that will put any LGBT person in prison. I obviously, as a young millennial, my best friend being someone who was LGBT, I'm just like, well, this doesn't look right to me at all. And I thought at that moment, I don't care what happens, there must be something I could do to make sure he is no longer my local elected official, my mother's elected official moving forward. So 3 years later, in those 3 years, I just continue to get federal legislative and regulatory experience working on Capitol Hill, working at the Federal Communications Commission, working for President Obama, and as an attorney, I've been preparing for this moment ever since.
So as we talk about housing, we've talked about health, I want to get your take on education.
Yeah.
Huge education problem that we have here in New York City. What are your thoughts? How do we tackle? What do we do?
I'll answer that in two parts. First and foremost, we need to refocus on the benefits of the public school institution. We lost track. And yes, some charter schools are giving our kids a better option, whereas there are charter schools that are violating laws, aren't holding up to standards, and giving us reports on students with disabilities and ESL students. We need to refocus on the benefits of the public school as a community institution. But second and most important, a city councilman has control of the budget for the city. This requires a critical look at how this budget on education is being spent with a lens towards equity in our community, looking first towards the young black and brown kids of District 14.
And so as we talk about education, we talked about housing, we talked about health. What else do you find as the big problems or initiatives that you would like to see if elected in District 14?
Yeah, and I've been very clear about this. If and when elected to the City Council, I do hope to sit and chair the Small Business Committee. Our community now, a lot of real estate eyes are on the Bronx because of our small businesses. Our small businesses help stabilize this community since the days that the Bronx was burning. And it's a shame to me to see so many small businesses closing down shop right now. My barbershop, my bodega, the deli, the beauty salon, the dry cleaner, the flower shop, that toy store right there on Kingsbridge Road help stabilize our community. And today, some of them can't even get a lease of more than 1 month. There's no certainty, there's no stability, and so the survival of our small businesses is on the line here. The backbone of New York City, the culture and the soul of New York City has always been in our small businesses. Our small businesses are undergoing a crisis, and looking towards 2020, how we innovate, how we move forward, we need to give these small businesses that certainty and that economic stability.
Randy Abreu, a candidate in the 14th Councilmanic District race, and best wishes to you, and thank you for coming and sharing with us on In the District.
Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Well, we thank Randy for joining us, and we'll be back with more right after this. And we're back. Joining us now is candidate for the 14th City Council District. We welcome now the incumbent, Councilmember Fernando Cabrera. Good to have you.
Glad to be here.
Good. There's another race you're running.
Yes.
And as the incumbent, of course, people feel sometimes the incumbent has the advantage. But how do you feel about this particular election?
Well, I'm looking forward to this election because I want to bring in the next 4 years our district to a level that we haven't been. But we have made some tremendous stride in our district. I mean, we have brought unemployment down from 23% down to 6.2. We were able to bring crime down. Murders are down 67%. And that's because some of the initiatives that I have worked on, for example, when it comes to safety, I've been able to introduce the Cure Violence program, not only in our district, but citywide. The most effective crime prevention, gun violence, cure violence program in the nation, bar none. For example, in the area 183rd all the way to Fordham, we went 376 days without a gunshot. Prior to the program being there, we would have gunshots all the time. So we see in the level of effectiveness. In the 52nd precinct, they have gone through seasons where we have seen crime down 50% there. And I mean, it's been simply amazing what we have seen. And when we see our schools are getting better through the funding that have brought forth over $50 million to bring technology to help the STEM program, after school program, fix the auditorium. It's been exciting to see the transformation in our school. And now we have seen an uptick of 15% of graduation rates in our district.
When you talk about education, obviously that's a main component, but also right there in our area, you're talking about housing. And many people are concerned about the housing crisis and what's going to be done there. How do you envision housing going forward over the next?
Well, you know, I'm very passionate about this. You know, I was the author of the Tenant Bill of Rights, and I have brought funding to making sure that we have more affordable housing units. But on top of that, now I'm working in rezoning of Jerome Avenue alongside with Councilmember Gibson, and we're looking forward to having over 4,000 brand new units of affordable housing in the Jerome area. And
so affordable housing, of course, is a major component. Job development is something else as well. You talk about the Fordham Business Improvement District. You got, you know, small business is the backbone of the American economy. You got a huge net worth caching right there with Fordham Road. What do we see happening there?
Well, not only Fordham, but we have Kingsbridge, we have Burnside, and we have seen those businesses starting to do well. I was able to give, for example, the Kingsbridge Avenue Merchant Association, giving them funding, $25,000 a year. You know, before, during Christmas holidays, they had to put out their own money. They struggle as it is at times. So I said, hey, you know what, why not help you out? And so they've been receiving that level of help. Same thing with Burnside Avenue, able to work with the administration, and they got $1 million through the Davidson Community Center, $1 million to be able to form a bid there and to upgrade what's taking place. And of course, the Fordham bid that we have there, I provide funding to them as well. And this is why they're the most successful bid in all of the Bronx.
When people run against you in a particular race, they always say, listen, we know running against somebody, you're the incumbent. But when you look at your record and do you feel as though that you've been able to deliver for your district?
Absolutely. When we see where we were in 2010 and where we see where we're at right now, and at the same time, if you look at the Furman report, we are not one of those areas where gentrification is taking place. So we have been able to upgrade. People are getting more jobs, more affordable housing, more safety, and at the same time, we don't have gentrification taking place. That is a formula for success for the people who live in our district.
Economic development is, of course, the key. And what do you see in terms of economic development?
Well, we've seen, again, in that area, tremendous growth in our area. And of course, we can't talk about economic development without the Kingsbridge Armory, and that is beginning to move forward again. And at the same time, we want to make sure that the businesses around the Kingsbridge Armory are protected, and this is why during the negotiations I make sure that there was funding provided to protect the businesses, and once this gets moving with this lease that has been kept on hold, now they're going to be able to get that level of support paid by Keeneck themselves.
Are we optimistic that this will happen sometime in the near future?
Well, that's what we're looking for, and everybody is pushing forward to making sure that it does happen. And if it doesn't happen, then we're looking forward to bringing another plan. But as it is right now, all of the local elected officials and community are pushing forward to make sure that happens.
What would you determine as the major priority that needs to be accomplished going forward in the next term for your district?
Well, I would love to see unemployment even go down even more. As a matter of fact, in 2015, when we compare unemployment with Riverdale, everybody always talks how prosperous Riverdale area is. We were only 0.4 percentage behind them in terms of unemployment. But I believe that we could do better. I believe that now, as I'm going to be the senior most member, I'm going to be able to have the best committee and the best leadership position to represent in the Bronx. And that's going to give me a accessibility with the speaker and with the mayor to be able to bring more resources to our area. This is our time, this is our moment. Imagine what I've been able to do now in the last 7.5 years, being the junior council member that the first time I came in, and now even more being a senior most. I mean, this is going to be an incredible time for our district.
Talk to me about the city council. Obviously, when you get elected, you got to deal with not just the borough, but you got to deal citywide. What do you feel that you are going to be able to contribute to most citywide as a councilman?
Well, you know, I have great relationships with my colleagues in government, and I think that's very important. I've been able to pass 15 pieces of legislation, and I have another 5 coming down the turnpike by the end of this year. And that is an amazing number. You know, council members are very happy if they get one every 2 years. And so I'm looking forward to passing more pieces of legislation, some of them dealing with juvenile justice legislation. I chair the Juvenile Justice Committee, and bringing that leadership that I have shown throughout the year. I was the co-chair of the Black Latino Asian Caucus, the chair of the Technology Committee, and to be able to have also some legislation dealing with health issues.
You got the final few seconds here, but for somebody out there watching right now, trying to still make up their mind as who to vote for, why would they vote for Fernando Cabrera?
Well, I would encourage them to vote for me on September 12th. I bring the leadership experience. I have a track record that my opponents definitely don't have. And it's not just 7.5 years, Darren. I'm talking about 28 years I've been working in this community as a pastor who started church from scratch and seeing young men who were bound by drug addiction and families that were torn apart and seeing them being restored and starting the first online counseling program throughout the state when I was a college professor and ran the counseling program at Mercy College. So I bring a vast amount of experience and leadership. Everything rises and falls based on leadership, and that's what they're going to get when they vote for me. And it's going to come down to who has the best resume, and I encourage them to look at my resume.
Councilmember Fernando Cabrera, the incumbent in the 14th District. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us in the district.
Thank you so much.
All righty, listen, thank you for joining us. Listen, we want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back with more right after this. And welcome back. Joining us now is candidate for the 14th City Council's district seat, Felix Perdomo. He joins us now in studio. Felix, good to have you.
Good to have you. Thank you for having me in this program.
Hey, no problem whatsoever. So you're running for the 14th
Yes,
Council
I am.
District. Why?
Why? First of all, let me talk about who I am. I'm Felix Perdomo. I'm running for City Council District 14. I'm a school teacher. I live in this community. The reason that I'm running is because I see so many problems in my community, and those problems haven't been solved. So I'm running because I feel like we need to change this community. We need to engage the community. We need to get together and do something for this community.
So when you say problems haven't been solved, what problems do you identify?
So we have so many eviction problems. Tenants are always complaining. There is not enough help from city council this moment. And we need to do something for this community, those tenants. A lot of tenants are in the Bronx, especially in my district, all of them being evicted because there is no help from the city council.
So when you talk about no help from the city council, what do you identify as the biggest challenge right now for your district that you can help within the city council?
So the first, the big challenge for my district is getting people together, understand what are the problems in the community. We have so many landlords, slum landlords, landlords that don't doing what they're supposed to do, and they want to evict people because they want more money for the apartments, and they don't do the repairs.
Part of what you ran on, a part of your campaign platform, is you're also fed up with corruption.
Yes.
So what do you say when you say fed up with corruption? What are you speaking to?
Well, I feel like so many people are downplaying, and they are behind doors and giving money some different politicians, and they are that way. Some politicians, they don't do what they're supposed to do. They don't stand up for the people of this district or the community.
And you're feeling like in your district that's the case?
It's a case where we've been so really negligent. We don't do what's supposed to do and protect our tenants, and because some real estate investors, they are putting more money in campaign, and not only in the district, across the city.
Now you've emphasized on housing. What else do you look at as a priority for you to be effective in this district?
First of all, we need to protect our tenants. We know our tenants.
Besides housing.
Housing.
Besides housing.
Okay. Besides crime, there's a lot of crime in our community, and it's related because a lot of people, young people, they don't have jobs. We need to bring training for those young adults. They are there doing business and other illegal business because they don't have any way to any income. So they're trying to do something, and it's against the community.
When you have this district, you're talking about Fordham, you got Kingsbridge, you got Jerome Avenue over there. Great economic potential.
Yes.
What would you do as a council person to strengthen that area, given the fact that small business is the economic backbone of the country?
Yes, right now those small business need help. A lot of them, they don't have the protection of the city. Actually, the city is going against some of them. They are harassing them and giving fine, attacking the business. So we're supposed to protect our small business because that's what it is. And we can make them grow.
So you say that you can make them grow?
Yes, if we train them, if we supply with the help they need, better system of accounting, those training that will help them to make better decisions and make better business.
Education. How do you tackle that? How do you tackle that? What do you see happening?
Well, I'm a school teacher. I know a lot of problems in our community. A lot of schools in our community are not getting the allocation needed for them to have after-school programs. And if I get elected as a city councilman, I will bring all the money. If I have to get grants from the government, so I'll do it.
So when we talk about education, we talked about housing as being two of the primary issues. If elected, what's the first thing you really want to go at?
Well, I will go into the community. I will engage all our tenants, and there is a Bill of Rights for tenants, but this is nothing. Nobody knows those bills. So we have to educate those tenants. In order to protect them, we have to empower them. That way they can do what they're supposed to do.
You're out there on the campaign trail. I guess you're meeting a lot of voters across your area. What are the things that you're hearing from them with regards to what's needed in the district?
Basically, thank you. That's a good question. I think the main question is how we can support each other in order to make this community better and bring the eviction rates in lower level, and also shelters. Shelters are the main complaint. A lot of people in our community are complaining because a lot of a lot of landlords, they are doing so much in order to push people out, and they can rent those apartments to the city. So the city is basically becoming one of the biggest tenants for landlords.
How do you address the issue of homelessness in the
So-
borough? Because we've got a huge issue right there, and particularly in your area.
Yes. Basically, we got to stop shelters. Shelters is like a revolving door. One family get out of the shelters, another enter into the shelters. So we have to stop the shelters as a way to make money for the landlords.
So you're saying get rid of the shelters per se, or what do you?
The cluster shelters. We have to get rid of the cluster shelters.
Okay.
So-
And then after those shelters, where do you put the people?
So we have to create those the same money that the city is investing in those shelters. Well, we don't get vouchers for those people in need. We can create vouchers, 3 type of vouchers. For example, we can create vouchers for seniors. That voucher can last for 2-3 years, depending on if the senior has a disability, and work with the Social Security. And other vouchers we can create for people that are in mental health problem. They have mental health problem. We can create vouchers also for people that are in transition. They are in hard time. So we can create the voucher, but at the same time we can create programs for those special vouchers, getting training, trying to place them in every job.
So in addition to being a councilman for the district, you also would be representing the city as a city councilman. What would you think are some of the city initiatives that we really need to address very briefly?
Well, first of all, housing. Housing is our priority. And so how we can reduce the budget. So many problems with the budget right now, and so many waste money. We have to address that problem in the city.
Felix Perdomo, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you
Running
very
for
much.
Council District
Thank
14.
you very much.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us here on In the District.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you for joining us. Listen, we'll be back with more. Stay with us. We'll come right back right after this. Well, thank you for joining us. Now, for more information on this election and more, continue to follow us at BronxNet TV. And for more information on voting locations, you can visit vote.nyc.ny.us. And remember, head out to the polls on September the 12th to make your voice heard. I'm Darren Jaime saying thanks for watching In the District.